Hey, what's up guys? Spencer Rhodes here. So, Troy Otto is a character that was introduced in the very beginning of Fear the Walking Dead Season 3. He was pretty much an antagonist. He basically served as an antagonist in the show, although he did sort of have these kind of complicated, twisted, interesting alliances with certain main characters. Not even alliances, but actual legitimate loyalty. Madison and Nick were, two of the biggest characters on Fear the Walking Dead. Well, at least they were. They're not so much these days, but back in season 3, Nick and Madison were pretty important characters, and Troy, he was a villain, pretty much. He did bad things. He killed innocent people. He was a racist. But he was sort of loyal to Madison and Nick. He had an alliance with them. He actually cared for them, maybe even loved them. And that was a part of what made his character kind of interesting. It's like if Negan was actually like best friends with Rick or something, even though Negan was doing the stuff Negan was doing. What if he liked Rick and wanted to be best friends with Rick? It's kind of like that. Like, he's still a villain, but he sort of had an interesting, sort of fascinating alliance with some of the main characters. And he was just a really interesting character. He was a psychopath. I mean, don't get me wrong. He's a psychopath. He's messed up in the head. But the actor, Daniel Sharman, he just gave such an interesting performance as Troy Otto. And I just loved all of Troy's scenes. I loved his moments. I loved his dialogue. I loved his interactions with the other characters. I just loved, just every part he was in. And I think he was definitely one of, if not the best parts of Season 3. Definitely one of the highlights. And Season 3 was pretty good overall. I've rewatched it twice, and I really enjoy Season 3 of Fear the Walking Dead. It's definitely probably in the top 2 best seasons of the show. And he was definitely one of the best parts, maybe the best part. But he was killed off in episode 15 of Season 3. Well, supposedly killed off. I mean, he's pretty much considered dead right now, unless it turns out that he's not dead. But he was killed off in episode 15. He confessed that he got a bunch of people killed in Season 3 that Madison cared about, Madison and Nick and Alicia and Daniel Salazar. Daniel Salazar's daughter was among those people that died because of Troy's actions. And Troy Otto was sort of ranting about how he was proud of it and how he would have done it all over again. And he told Madison, you would have done the same thing too. He basically telling Madison that he and Madison are a lot alike. And Madison, who had been close to Troy and had been sort of trusting Troy and kind of letting Troy off easy and letting some things slide that maybe she shouldn't have, because Troy did some pretty bad things and Madison kind of let it slide and let him get away with it. But it was good for us because I think a lot of people found the character really entertaining. So I and a lot of people were happy that Troy kept getting away with things, but Madison ended up hitting Troy in the side of the head with a hammer. And the first blow to the head was pretty deep, pretty big hole. Troy was just gushing blood out of his head. And then Madison did the same thing a second time, just smashed him in the side of the head with a hammer. And it broke through Troy's skull, and it just left this gigantic hole. And Troy just fell and fell down a hill, and it was just bleeding all over the place. He looked like he basically got shot in the side of the head. He was dead. I mean, he was just 100% dead, totally dead. And then later on, his still, just completely still body was getting swept up by water because they were at a dam. That's where Troy died, and the dam flooded, got destroyed, flooded. So, yeah, Troy's pretty much dead. However, he was just such a fan favorite. A lot of people, including me, were unhappy with his death. And I was kind of hoping that maybe somehow, since it's a TV show, that maybe he miraculously survived. Granted, unrealistically, you have to, you might have to just use your imagination a little bit. What's the phrase? Just suspend disbelief. He was pretty much dead, but maybe he could have miraculously survived and return to the show, because after all, it is a TV show. It's not real life. So, I mean, as long as they bring the actor back and he just comes back with a scar, I mean, who says they can't do that? You know, they can physically do that. They can physically bring the actor back and have him play the character with a gigantic scar, still alive. It really, logic in real life physics and stuff doesn't really necessarily matter. If they decide to do it, they decide to do it. And there's a rumor that he was going to be returning to season 5. And it seems like maybe that's not happening right now, or maybe that's not going to happen. And at this point, I don't know. I still think Troy's alive. I really do. I'm going to be talking about his character in this video, but I'm going to be just assuming, this is just under the assumption, under the let's just say for the sake of argument that Troy's still alive. Let's just say for the sake of argument that he miraculously survived the hammer injury and he's alive. So I don't know if he's going to be returning in season 5. I don't know. He might not. I don't think we're going to see him in the first half. We might see him in the second half. I don't know about the first half. But even if he doesn't return in season 5, he could return in season 6. He very well could. There's really no... If Fear the Walking Dead gets to season 6, maybe then the writers decide, okay, let's bring back Troy Otto since he's such a popular character. So, if he's still alive, what is he going to do? What is his role in the story going to be? Is he going to be the main villain of the season? Is he going to be an anti-hero? Is he going to be a protagonist and an antagonist? Maybe a mixture of both? It's tricky because the two characters that he was the most connected with were Madison and Nick. Those were the two characters that he cared the most about, that he had the most scenes with, and both of them are dead, like 100% dead. I mean, there's a small chance for Madison because she was killed off screen, but I don't know. She could be dead. There's still a good chance that she's dead. And so Nick and Madison are dead. So, you know, what is Troy going to do? Who's he going to interact with? He could interact with Alicia, because if he truly cared about Madison and Nick, he might want to protect Alicia. He might want to keep Alicia alive to honor their memories. And there's also Daniel Salazar, and Troy was responsible for his daughter's death. So he would have to deal with that guy. Either stay away from him or deal with him, or maybe they try to kill each other. I don't know. But it's possible that Troy Otto, if he did come back, he could come back as a good guy. He could be someone that's seeking redemption, like Dwight is. He could become a protagonist. He could become sort of an anti-hero of sorts. Maybe he found the light. I mean, I know that he's a psychopath. I know that he's messed up in the head. But what if he got better? What if somehow, some way, he got some sort of medicine or something? Not medicine, but some sort of help from someone. I mean, Morgan was crazy, and he got help. Yeah, granted, he was only crazy because of the death of his wife, but who knows? Maybe Troy could be brought back to the light. Maybe Troy could be saved and be a good person. And there's a lot of characters right now in Fear the Walking Dead that are very focused on that. Morgan, if Morgan met Troy Otto, Morgan would not just instantly kill Troy. That's not Morgan. Morgan would want to help Troy. Morgan would want to do this and do that and try to save Troy. I mean, look at all the trouble Morgan went through to try to help and save Martha. If he went through all that trouble for Martha, he would definitely try to help Troy, Even if it seemed like it's hopeless and Troy's too much of a psychopath and he's too far gone, Morgan would want to try to help Troy. Dwight has some skeletons in his closet because he killed Denise Cloyd and he followed orders, but he's seeking redemption. Alicia's trying to get away from killing, and she's starting to really open herself up to the idea of hope and saving people and helping people and doing something besides killing. Strand's on a redemption path. Charlie's kind of on a redemption path because of her guilt over killing Nick. John's really trying hard to see the good in people. Dwight tried to kill him, and John still tried to help Dwight. June has things that she's guilty about. I could go on and on and on. but there's a big theme of redemption and hope, and trying to help people that need help, and all these characters coming together, trying to help people and trying to make a positive difference, and looking for a way besides killing. So maybe if Troy Otto does try to be a good person, he could fit right in. If Troy Otto does try to see redemption, he could fit right in. I mean, if he could just, I mean, he can always be a little messed up in the head. He just has to get away from being racist and not wanting to kill people for random stupid reasons. That was his whole thing in the beginning of season 3. He was capturing people and killing them just to see how long it would take for them to turn into zombies. Him and his whole military platoon were doing that. I don't know what the fuck, but his entire army had this army base, and they were just experimenting with random people, killing them and seeing how long it took for them to turn into walkers. Troy has to get away from that sort of thing. If he wants a shot at redemption, if he wants to be one of the good guys, he has to get away from his obsession, passion, love, whatever you want to call it, his thing with killing innocent people. He's got to get away from that. And the whole racism thing, yeah, he's got to get away from that too. I mean, his dad was racist and his mom was an alcoholic, so he didn't have the best influences when he was younger. But sooner or later, you have to get away from your parents' crap and make take responsibility. It's not necessarily your fault, but you have to take responsibility if your parents do a bunch of crap. So Troy would have to take responsibility and stop being racist, and maybe it'd be like with Morgan and Eastman. We get an entire episode about Troy Otto and just this one character that saves him, and this one character that nourishes him back to help and helps him see the light and not be crazy anymore. And maybe plot twist, it's like a Mexican, someone that Troy would kind of like to just randomly shoot and kill because he's a racist, or maybe an Indian or something, because Troy really hates them, because he basically blew up the ranch because he didn't want Walker's people to live with the other people. That's how much he hated them. So it'd be interesting if he got saved by someone that he's racist against, and that's the plot twist. And this person is really nice and really fights hard to help Troy and make Troy a better person. And they succeed, and Troy becomes a better person, and Troy doesn't want to be a psychopath anymore, and he wants to do the right thing. And maybe like Eastman, that character dies or something, and Troy decides, okay, I'm going to honor them. I'm going to honor their memory by going out and finding Mass and Nick and Alicia, and I'm going to help them. And I'll just, I won't be racist anymore, and I won't kill people anymore. And then he goes to those people, but then he finds out Mass and Nick are dead, and there's just Alicia. So Troy cares about Alicia because she's the last piece of those people that he cared about. But there's all these other characters like Morgan and John and Althea and Dwight and Strand, and all these characters that Troy can interact with and build and grow relationships with, grow friendships with. So he could definitely have a lot to do on the show. He wouldn't just have to be a bad guy. He could be a bad guy. He could totally be a bad guy, but he wouldn't have to be. He could end up becoming like a protagonist or an anti-hero. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't be shy. Hit that like and subscribe. I'm not going anywhere. I make 1 to 2 Walking Dead videos per day, so please hit that subscribe button. Right now, we are at 549 subscribers. My goal is to try to get to 600 in the next few months. So just remember, every subscriber counts. Every bit of support matters and is very, very appreciated. Hopefully, we can get to that goal of 600. Anyway, with all that said, I am Spencer Rhodes, and I will see you guys later. Bye!